my name is Sarah. I'm from the Canadian Photography Learning Center, and today I wanted to show you one of the easiest ways I have found for watermarking images in Photoshop. This video is perfect for you if you're just starting out in Photoshop and you haven't really experimented with layers. This video will show you from the beginning how to do that. As with all things Photoshop, there is about 100 different ways to do things in Photoshop. I'm sure the way I watermark my photos is quite a bit different than how somebody else does it, and that's okay. You should watch as many videos and pick the method that works for you. I will tell you in Edmonton I think it's starting in April. I will post the link below, but we do have our Photoshop class that's coming up, and it is a 6-evening class, so it's 18 hours. So by the time you take an 18-hour Photoshop class, you will be feeling pretty tech savvy with Photoshop. Yeah, if you want to just get started and you want to share more of your photos online, but you want to watermark them to prevent people from snatching them, this tutorial will show you how to do that. So if you have a logo, you can skip ahead in this video to when I import the logo. But first, I'm just going to show you how to add text to a photo in the event that maybe you don't have a logo to use. So first, what we're going to do is go over to layers here. And I'm going to tell you the keyboard shortcuts on a Mac, but I will post in the comment box below what they are for PC. So to create a new layer, you'll go Ctrl+N and enter. So now we have a new layer called layer 1. So I will grab my text tool here. That's on the left. You want to grab the T and you'll want to just drag. And what you're making right now is a text box. And I'm going to just write my name, Sarah. So like in Microsoft Word and pretty much anywhere else, you're just going to highlight your text and you have your text options up at the top. So you can make it bigger, depending on the font style you've chosen. You can have options here like bold, italic. It just depends on the kind of font you're using. And you can also grab you can click on the color box here, and this opens up your color picking tool. So you can grab a color from your photo, and you can play around and just see what works for you. So those are all of your text options, or some of your text options up at the top here, the most common ones. Yeah, so if you want to pause this video and create your text watermark the way you want, I am going to show how to import a logo onto this photo. So first off, I'm just going to drag this and put it in the trash because I'm not going to be using the text layer. But for people who are, I'm going to show you some blending options later on in this video that you'll be able to apply to your text as well. So I've created a new layer here, and I'm going to grab my logo. I'm using a PNG file, so it has a transparent background. And if you have a PNG file, that's definitely what you're going to want to use here. And you're going to select, so Command A, you're going to copy, Command C, and then you're going to paste, Command V. So make sure that you've pasted on the correct layer, and for me that's layer 1, and it's highlighted here. So the first thing that I notice is my logo is too big for this photo and for what I want. So I'm going to go Command T, which is transform. And I'm going to make my logo, I'm going to scale it down. So I'm going to click Option and hold the Option key down. And I'm going to drag this in. And like that. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So once you have the size that you like, you'll just release the mouse and release the Option key. And then you'll grab your Move tool, that's the top one here, and you'll click on that, or you can click V on your keyboard and you'll just drag that to where you want it in your photo. So, I mean, everybody watermarks a little bit differently, the way people, like how prominent they want their logo to be. One example that you can do is if you want your logo to be somewhere so that nobody would possibly steal your photo, is you could put it on a place like her neck. Now, this isn't for my taste, but I mean, depending on the photo, maybe you want to do that. So for this one, I'll show you how you would fade this into the background a little bit so it's not so in your face. If you did want to watermark in an area that somebody couldn't crop out, is you would go and you would just make sure you're on your layer so it's highlighted. That's how it looks when it's not highlighted. So it's highlighted, and you'll just change the opacity. So you can dilute this a little bit, and you can, as you can see, it's fading into her neck. So depending on how you want to do that and what your taste is, you could do something like that. Now, if you're not as worried about somebody cropping off your logo, what you can do, I'm just going to turn my opacity back up, is once you've picked a place for your logo, maybe I want to go here or up here. I tend to stick to the corners. I think I'm going to show you over here because a lot of my effects might not show up on that one, on that corner, just because it's a dark background, and I'll show you what I mean in a second here. So you'll click on the layer and you'll right click, and you can do this with your text. So just make sure you're on your text layer. You'll click blending options. And from here you can add something called a drop shadow. And as you can see, when I click that on, if you look at my logo, it adds a dark shadow to the outside. And you'll see a shadow like that if we moved it around a little bit. So if we move it down to her neck, for example, you see that a little bit more. So you can just double click the word drop shadow, and that pulls up your layer style again. So that's how it looks as a drop shadow. So you can turn it up. And as you can see in the case of my logo, it starts to look pretty blurry. So depending on your logo and how it looks, you can add some of this drop shadow to it. Another thing that you can add that I often do with logos is outer glow. And this kind of adds a little bit of white glow to the outside. So since our skin tone is so light, we're not seeing it as much up there, but if we drag it to this dark area, you can see right away the difference between having the outer glow and not having the outer glow. So it can be quite extreme depending on how much of this you use. So this is at 64%. We can go all the way up to 100 and it gets quite white. So you can play around with those and see which ones you like. You can also turn these on and off using the little visibility here. You can turn just all the effects off with that one. You can turn them all on. So once you've decided how you like your logo and what effect works best for you, and you want to export your photo, I'm just going to move mine. I think I'm going to move mine down here, for example. So once you're happy with how everything looks, you'll go File, and you'll Export As, and here is where you can resize your photo for social media or wherever you're going to be sharing it. Use caution and avoid ever making your images bigger because that will make them appear more pixelated. But if you want to make your image smaller, this is where you could do that. And in my case, I'm going to save it as a JPEG, but I do have a few options here for other formats. And then you'll just click Export and you're done. If you want to work on your photo more, you can save this as a PSD file. So you would just go up here and you just click File, Save As, and you can keep it as a Photoshop document file. And then you can come back and that'll keep all of your layers intact. So you can add more layers and or play with those layer effects. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Thanks so much for watching today. And if you are in the Edmonton or Calgary area, we are running a Photoshop in both those cities, and we'd love to have you there. Thanks so much.